men and women that ensure our safety and security. Hear from guest speakers, live performances, and presentations from veterans, officers, and more. Save the date, November 8th, 9 to 10:30 a.m. at the new West Bloomfield Middle School. Call 248-451-1900 to register.
In the face of COVID-19, staying healthy is important. And now the same is true as we face the flu. Influenza has the potential to infect millions, putting lives and the healthcare system at risk. Fortunately, it's easy to protect yourself. The flu vaccine is safe and effective, and with COVID-19 still spreading, it's essential. To see how you can hit this virus head-on, visit michigan.gov/flu. Now that the vaccine is available for children 5 and up, why do you recommend it?
Kids are part of the community and they can spread COVID.
We're seeing both healthy children getting sick from the virus as well as children with underlying health conditions.
They can easily bring the virus home to other people that are vulnerable and make them sick as well.
This vaccine can change that and keep children safe.
It's essential that your children get vaccinated to protect them, to protect your families, and to protect those in the community around you.
I'm feeling good.
Let's savor these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the dining out going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date. Let's relish these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the festivals going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date. Can I ask you a question? Why do you want to get the COVID-19 vaccine?
I don't like getting sick. The virus will die. It will be easy to not catch it. Keep my family safe and keep playing soccer. Because I love being vaccinated.
What's your hope for everyone?
I hope everybody gets the vaccine to keep safe and strong. Be happy, having fun everywhere. Everyone stay safe and hope you get the vaccine.
Let's whoop it up for these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the cheering going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date.
This November, honor the many people who offer their lives for our freedom at the 2022 Heroes Appreciation Breakfast. Organizations, charities, and local residents are invited to celebrate the men and women that ensure our safety and security. Hear from guest speakers, live performances, and presentations from veterans, officers, and more. Save the date, November 8th, 9 to 10:30 a.m. at the new West Bloomfield Middle School. Call 248-451-1900 to register.
In the face of COVID-19, staying healthy is important. And now the same is true as we face the flu. Influenza has the potential to infect millions, putting lives and the healthcare system at risk. Fortunately, it's easy to protect yourself. The flu vaccine is safe and effective, and with COVID-19 still spreading, it's essential. To see how you can hit this virus head-on, visit michigan.gov/flu. Now that the vaccine is available for children 5 and up, why do you recommend it?
Kids are part of the community and they can spread COVID.
We're seeing both healthy children getting sick from the virus as well as children with underlying health conditions.
They can easily bring the virus home to other people that are vulnerable and make them sick as well.
This vaccine can change that and keep children safe.
It's essential that your children get vaccinated to protect them, to protect your families, and to protect those in the community around you.
I'm feeling good.
Let's savor these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the dining out going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date. Let's relish these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the festivals going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date.
You're listening to your radio homes for the Megacast, 89.3 WBLD Orchard Lake and 88.1 WBFH Bloomfield Hills. Today's edition of the Megacast begins now. Welcome to the Megacast, our live local daily TV, radio, and streaming show looking into all things Michigan. I'm Tyler Kieft. Today we'll be talking to a number of people about topics of interest and importance to Michiganders just like you. And let's begin with what's making headlines today across the Great Lakes State on CivicCenterTV.com's local news page. Our top story comes from Charles E. Ramirez at the Detroit News as Novi High School students were forced to shelter in place and were dismissed early from classes on Wednesday following threats found written in a school bathroom. According to the Novi Community School District Superintendent Ben Manka, a student notified the district of the threat at about 11 a.m. Students were shortly after that told to shelter in place, which they did until about 1:45, when the threat was cleared and staff dismissed all classes for the remainder of the day. In a statement, Superintendent Manka said, quote, "Our teachers, support staff, administrators, students, and everyone involved today did a fantastic job acting quickly and jumping into action. Our partners at the Novi Police Department also did an excellent job providing support and guidance throughout the incident," and closed quote. This was not the only threat made against a local school of late, and not even the only one made on Wednesday, as two Dundee Middle School students in Monroe were arrested and faced charges following a threat placed on a confidential reporting system on Wednesday morning. So again, seeing false threats being made against schools in our local area, causing some upheaval in those schools, especially as we approach 1 year since the shooting at Oxford High School. This is still continuing on in our local area. Luckily, these threats have all been false reports, and none of these have been true threats, but it also makes the situation that much more dangerous when a real threat does arise, that people may believe it's another one of these fake threats, and that could put a lot of people's lives at risk. All the more reason why this continues to be something that's pushed on by law enforcement, certainly by school districts, that if you partake in this kind of action, you'll very likely get into a whole lot of trouble for doing so. Also making headlines today on CivicCenterTV.com's local news page from J.C. Reindl at the Detroit Free Press. Amazon continues to make the Metro Detroit area a familiar place to set up shop as a new delivery station opened on Wednesday in Canton. The 180,000 square foot facility will now be the final stop for packages before their delivery in Western Wayne and Eastern Washtenaw counties, said Amazon Senior Regional Manager James Kingsley, quote, "We call this the last mile," and closed quote. The building project was completed without any tax breaks or developmental incentives as well, according to Canton Township Supervisor Anne Marie Graham-Hudak. Amazon says the facility employs hundreds of workers, although they did not give a specific number of those that are employed at this particular facility to the Detroit Free Press when asked about it. Finally, making headlines today on CivicCenterTV.com's local news page from Mark Hicks at the Detroit News. As we approach Election Day and see reports of civilians standing guard in militia gear that some call intimidation for voters delivering absentee ballots across the nation, local officials are warning Michiganders there will be no intimidation tolerated at the polls or at ballot drop boxes leading up to and on Election Day. Macomb County Prosecutor Peter Lucido made it known yesterday that his office intends to charge anyone who threatens or intimidates voters, election workers, or others at ballot drop boxes and the polls, and will refer all of these cases, as is normal, to the Attorney General's office. In a statement, Lucido said, quote, "Everyone should feel safe exercising their voting rights. President Theodore Roosevelt was right when he said a vote is like a rifle. Its usefulness depends upon the character of the user. Let's show Macomb County's character by not menacing election workers or voters at ballot boxes. Election workers should be treated as heroes, end closed quote. For reference, it is a felony in Michigan to attempt to, quote, menace or other corrupt means or device, either directly or indirectly, to influence an elector in giving his or her vote, or to deter the election from or interrupt the elector in giving his or her vote at any election held in this state, end closed quote, said Lucido's office. In Arizona, a sheriff in the Phoenix area upped security at ballot boxes recently following multiple incidents of unauthorized individuals standing watch at ballot drop-off boxes, likely fueled by rhetoric from former President Donald J. Trump and his faithful inner circle following the 2020 election. And their claims of fraud found to be patently false, including the fiction film often referred to as a documentary that's known as 2000 Mules. For transparency on this story, as I discussed the details of it, it should be noted that my father went to college with Prosecutor Lucido, and they were members of the same fraternity during their time at Oakland University. All of those headlines today on our website, civiccentertv.com, on our local news page, along with helpful and up-to-date links on COVID-19 information directly from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention at the federal level, the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services at the state level, and of course locally where we originate our broadcast in the Oakland County area from the Oakland County Health Division. We have a great show ahead on this Thursday edition of the Megacast. Up next, we'll have our weekly mental health talk with the Birmingham Maple Clinic's Carrie Krawick. Stay tuned. You're watching and listening to the Megacast.
Can I ask you a question? Why do you want to get the COVID-19 vaccine?
I don't like getting sick. The virus will die. It will be easy to not catch it. Keep my family safe and keep playing soccer because I love being vaccinated.
What's your hope for everyone?
I hope everybody gets the vaccine to keep safe and strong. Be happy, having fun everywhere. Everyone stay safe and hope you get the vaccine.
Let's whoop it up for these moments. Made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the cheering going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date.
This November, honor the many people who offer their lives for our freedom at the 2022 Heroes Appreciation Breakfast. Organizations, charities, and local residents are invited to celebrate the men and women that ensure our safety and security. Hear from guest speakers, live performances, and presentations from veterans, officers, and more. Save the date, November 8th, 9 to 10:30 a.m. at the new West Bloomfield Middle School. Call 248-451-1900 to register.
Local daily TV, radio, and streaming show about all things Michigan. I'm Tyler Kieft. Learn more about our program on our website, civiccentertv.com/megacast, where you'll find more information on all of our partnering stations across the Great Lakes State, including My Michigan TV. Well, as we are still very well into the school year, and as we approach the holidays, it's a tough time for parents who, in addition to all of their work obligations and their own lives outside of being a parent, being a parent can be very stressful for them and is causing parental burnout among 66% of parents with kids under 18 years old. Here to talk about that and what parents can do to relieve some of that stress and give themselves a little bit more of that independence that they may seek is Carrie Krawick from the Birmingham Maple Clinic with us for our weekly mental health discussion. Carrie, thanks for being with us again.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Appreciate having you on. So as I mentioned, parental burnout is a very real issue. 66% of parents with children under 18 meeting the criteria for burnout based on a recent study. And this is not something that's necessarily new, but something that has been maybe a little bit more inflated over recent years, given the proximity that parents have had to be to their kids, and certainly the increased involvement that's been necessary for parents outside of what's really been the norm in terms of schooling and supervision because of the pandemic. So, is this is this a particular issue being so prevalent among parents a new issue, or is this something that's really been sort of exacerbated in the past couple of years due to the pandemic?
I think it's absolutely been exacerbated the last couple of years due to the pandemic, but it's something that we've been seeing probably for an entire generation, especially in a situation where most families rely on two-income households, where the expectations, where there's a lot more fear about, supervision and what your kids might be seeing or doing or what might be happening to them in your absence. There's also a generation of people who probably had parents who were a little more laissez-faire, who actually feel like as parents, they want to be very present with their child. But the consequence of that presentness is that, one, the children don't get used to their own autonomy and time alone and creativity, problem solving, boredom. But also the parents are just completely tapped out with very high expectations of what they should be doing.
And so, what do you really believe, or what seems to be the consensus in the mental health community about some of the root issues behind parental burnout? Because on the one hand, parents, when they're weighing whether or not to become parents, whether or not to have children or have additional children, that independence is something that they are taking and making their own mental agreement or agreement between themselves and their partner to relinquish a little bit of that independence. But at the level we're seeing today, with the involvement of so many other things in kids' lives that maybe weren't there a generation ago, and certainly not a couple of generations ago, that can be a little bit different. So what do you believe, or what is the consensus to be really what some of those root causes for parental burnout, when parents can recognize that that they're getting really tired and maybe aren't giving enough time for themselves on top of raising their kids?
Sure. I mean, I think like every topic you and I have covered recently, I think one of the highest things is completely unreasonable expectations and comparing yourself to others. And we have this constant supply of data to compare ourselves to how we think other parents are doing. And then there's this sense of competition that because everyone else seems to be doing all of this, we must be doing all of this too. Where people, and say, for example, our parents' generations did not have the method nor perhaps care to compare themselves to what was going on next door or 10 doors down or whatever. So I think that's probably one of the biggest contributors, as with many of the mental health issues we discuss, is that sense of competing with somebody else in perception is going to be playing a role. I think perhaps some of the remedies are really easy. It's kids do need our attention, and kids should be getting our attention, and our attention helps reinforce positive behaviors. When we set limits to negative behaviors, we reduce those. So parental intention is a really important thing, but I think intentional attention is better than just constant attention, So if you can set them up for some times where they can be quiet, safe, appropriate, even bored. There's some real research on boredom, and that kids could handle being a little more bored nowadays, even in the own waiting room in the office. Even myself, if I'm bored, I can pull out a screen and evaporate my boredom. But boredom is good for children as it is for adults, to be creative, problem solve, to help learn to calm and soothe and cope with your body. So giving your children some setup time where you can be present in the household or present at the park or whatever, but you don't necessarily have to be involved, and you can know that they're safe, is good for you and for them.
And as you mentioned, this is something that's not necessarily a new issue, but it's becoming more prevalent through the generations, especially in more recent generations. I think about when I was a kid, and I think about the stories my dad had told of when he was a kid, and he would always, and my mom would always say, when we were kids, our parents would say, we have some things to take care of. Go outside and play and be back here by sundown. And when I was a kid, my parents would say, go outside and play, feel free to go, around the friends' houses around the community. Just let us know where you're going and where you intend on going. Nowadays, it seems like we do have so much of that helicopter parenting being the norm. And part of that is because, like you discussed, there are so many more threats out there that parents aren't necessarily as apt to shelter their kids from as was the case a couple of generations ago, mostly because of technology that is out there and the access to a wide variety of information. So when you're talking to parents about these sorts of issues, there needs to be a balance between protecting your kids from things that they probably shouldn't be exposed to, and certainly making sure that their safety is paramount, but also not being too involved. So as parents are trying to work through that balance, what suggestions do you give for that? And particularly to, in their own heads, be able to justify certain behaviors versus others that may be burning them out in this way?
Absolutely. So I think one thing to keep in mind is both your kids' age, their actual age, and their developmental age, meaning the age that they act. So if they're acting a little more or a little less mature than their peers, you might make adjustments on what kind of supervision is required of them. I also think that when trust is high, supervision can be low. When trust is low, supervision must be high. So based on how your kid has handled other behaviors, if you've given a little leeway, if you say, hey, play in your room quietly while I'm downstairs, and you go up to the room and there's crayon on the wall, that's an indicator that perhaps that was either too much time or too much absence than that particular child could handle. So then you're going to adjust the time and adjust your level of supervision accordingly. And then, right, with a series of trust and sort of similar behaviors and kind of gradually increasing the privilege, you're, like I said, as trust gets higher, supervision can naturally get lower. I think also problem solving with your child, think of what your child's asking for, maybe what they're asking to do, maybe what's slightly out of your limit. At a client recently, the kids wanted to ride their bikes to school. Mom wasn't ready for it. So we kind of problem solved together. What is a good? These are middle school age kids. It seemed like the right age, but maybe not the right block because of the safety of their street. So how did we problem solve that so that mom could get a little extra time in her morning and the kids could get what they really wanted, which was their own freedom to ride to school? So it took some practice. It took some, dress rehearsals on the weekend to see if we could handle it and know what to do. And it ended up working out. But, it's really listen to your kids because they'll tell you what they want. And the free time might be there and they might be ready to work for it.
You can get in contact with Carrie and the team at the Birmingham Maple Clinic by visiting birminghammaple.com or calling them 248-646-6659, 248-646-6659, and send an email, info@birminghammaple.com for more information to answer any of your questions. Carrie, as parents are addressing the root causes of some of this burnout, how much supervision they really need to be having in certain situations with their kids. It's also important for them to address the issues that their parenting might be having on themselves and certainly on their relationships with their co-parent or with their partner or both in some cases, because those certainly will affect their parenting overall. So what suggestions do you have on that front for parents to take that step back and really evaluate where they're at and what treatment they may need in order to get through some of the parental burnout, but also to work through some of the issues that they might have that could also be contributing to that burnout?
Sure. Like you said, one of the things we think about with anxiety and stress and some of the preceding causes to burnout is because burnout's really the after effect of just extreme amount of stress, right? So it's just when you've gone through so much prolonged stress that you really have nothing left to give. So what are some of the causes of stress? And certainly, like you said, there are many rational causes of stress: the pandemic, potential risk to harm to our children, what they might encounter in social media, bullying, whatever. So which fears are reasonable, but then when do they become unreasonable? And if they're interfering with your life, with your ability to work, with your ability to take care of yourself, with your ability to have healthy relationships, then they've really exceeded what's rational and become irrational. So I have a colleague that says preparedness is good and panic is bad. So also think if you have some sense of risk, but you've taken some action to prepare for it, then you're in good shape. But if you're constantly panicking and feeling sort of in a sense of crisis, then you're really not in a good place. And that's a sense that you need to maybe speak with a therapist and make sure that you have the skills and the tools to problem solve things as they came up, but not stay in a constant state of stress.
We're joined by Carrie Krawick from the Birmingham Maple Clinic, a therapist, on today's edition of the Megacast, as we do each and every Thursday here on the program. And Carrie, in terms of different methods that parents can use to sort of relieve some of that burnout, one that's being suggested of late is what's called sittervising. Can you explain what sittervising is and how that might relieve some of that burnout of constantly being looking over your kids?
So yeah, like we said, this is maybe a new name for a throwback method, which is to just get a little more comfortable for yourself and your kids. I mean, I know my kids, they love an audience, they want attention, they want us to play with them and show them, but they do have each other. You know, in a generation before, it would have been completely acceptable to use your sibling as your playmate and not necessarily your parents. So sittervising is saying, hey, like, I am here in the house, you are safe, I'm available when you need me, but I'm not the person that's going to be necessarily engaging with you right now. So I thought this was great advice. It does free up parents to feel like they can be doing other things. I think moms especially feel like there's so many things across the day that take their attention. They have work emails, they have food preparation, they have this and that they feel like they must be spending the time at home engaging, which is true in part, but those same moms also need time to relax, to unwind, to read a book, to take a walk, to elevate their own mood and stress levels and model that for their kids. So I think the best thing, to add to this kind of sittervising trend is to dedicate a certain amount of time to be intentional with your kid. No screens, just attention, just on what they want. And then a certain amount of time to do the same for yourself. And to know that in that time your kids are safe, they're fine, and they've gotten your supervision already. And so that you're a key member of the family that deserves attention just as much as everybody else. And to give yourself that intentional time is important.
Carrie, another minute or so with you before we'll have to say goodbye today. Any other lasting advice for parents that may be experiencing burnout or any other mental health issues that are popping up more frequently in your practice and in the mental health community that we should be discussing today?
Sure, the human body is made to handle stress, and we've handled a lot of it. What's the most toxic is that prolonged stress, the uninterrupted stress. So we can do hard things, but we can do them in bursts, and we need periods of rest between those bursts of stress. And we've gotten probably a little too used to sort of this prolonged stress without relief, and then this fear of high stress. And it's no, we can handle high stress, but we also need intermittent periods of rest. And I think that's really what this sittervising idea aims to try to allow parents to feel comfortable getting the rest that they need.
More information and to get in contact with Carrie and the team at the Birmingham Maple Clinic can be found at birminghammaple.com. Carrie, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you as always for having me.
Appreciate it. Carrie Krawick from the Birmingham Maple Clinic with us on the Megacast today. Again, birminghammaple.com or call 248-646-6659. We'll take a break on the Megacast. On the other side, well, it may be a little bit too cold to head to the pool or go swim in any of our local lakes or certainly our Great Lakes, but pretty soon you'll be able to go swimming at the mall. We'll tell you about that coming up next on the Megacast.
Let's relish these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the festivals going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date. Can I ask you a question? Why do you want to get the COVID-19 vaccine?
I don't like getting sick. The virus will die. It will be easy to not catch it. Keep my family safe and keep playing soccer because I love being vaccinated.
What's your hope for everyone?
I hope everybody gets the vaccine to keep safe and strong. Be happy, having fun everywhere. Everyone stay safe and hope you get the vaccine.
Let's whoop it up for these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the cheering going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date.
Welcome back to the Megacast, our live local daily TV, radio, and streaming show about all things Michigan. I'm Tyler Kieft. Learn more about our program by visiting civiccentertv.com/megacast. You'll find more information on all of our partnering stations across the Great Lakes State, including My Michigan TV, and find all of our full shows and each individual interview on demand. civiccentertv.com/megacast. Well, the warm seasons of the year are done, so swimming outdoors and certainly in our local and our Great Lakes here in Michigan is about over. But if you and your kids are still interested in hitting the water and learning to swim or becoming better swimmers, you can do so over the colder months, indoors, and even at your local mall. Joining us now on the Megacast is Gabby Rosalie, the general manager of Goldfish Swim School, opening up in West Bloomfield. Gabby, thanks for being with us today.
Of course, I'm happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, glad to have you on with us. So this is a new location for Goldfish Swim School. It is a chain that has several locations in the Metro Detroit area. Most closely to the new West Bloomfield location would be a Birmingham location, Farmington Hills, and Clarkston. But opening a new location in West Bloomfield, it's under construction right now, and it's really interesting to see on your social media the way that that's being put in, because it's going in at the Orchard Mall on Orchard Lake Road just before Maple in West Bloomfield. So tell us first about Goldfish Swim School and kind of the approach that it takes to teaching swimming to kids of a bunch of different ages.
Yeah, absolutely. So our program, we teach kids that start at as early as 4 months old, all the way up to 12 years old. We start as soon as we can, because the sooner we start, the less likely children are to develop a fear to the water. So all of our levels are catered toward our age groups. Jenny McQuiston, who was one of our founders, actually studied early childhood development. So our curriculum and our curriculum team, who's constantly improving the curriculum, is really focused on water safety and survival skills for our beginner levels. And then we begin to build the foundation for techniques to actually be mobile in the water and eventually progress into our front and our back strokes. And in our pro levels, we do teach the butterfly and the breaststroke strokes as well. So we use group lessons here at Goldfish that are about 30 minutes long, which is a perfect period of time for kids to be able to get some social interaction with their peers, learn from each other, and build their individualization as well as their swimming skills as well at our location.
So as I mentioned, there are several different locations for Goldfish Swim Schools here in the Oakland County area and across the state of Michigan. Why West Bloomfield for this new branch of the company? What about West Bloomfield Township and that location in the Orchard Mall makes it the perfect spot to open up another swim school?
We are so excited to come to West Bloomfield. We did, as you mentioned, we do have a location in Birmingham. That was actually our first Goldfish location, started in 2006. We now have over 135 locations across North America. And we wanted to come to West Bloomfield because, as you know, we do have some dispersed schools across Oakland County, but we don't really have a location to pull from those cities like West Bloomfield or like Commerce or White Lake or Waterford. It's a little bit of a drive to get to Birmingham or Clarkston for some of those families. So coming to West Bloomfield is something we're super excited about. The community atmosphere there is fantastic. And I think that, in that market, there are a lot of new parents that are looking for activities for their children that are local to the community that allow them to kind of get that social interaction that we've been so deprived of because of COVID. So we're really excited to bring the community together and come teach all those kids how to swim.
And this new West Bloomfield location, it's not open just yet, as we mentioned. It is under construction at this time. When do you expect to be open at your location in the Orchard Mall?
That's correct. So our location is set to open December 13th. That is the first day in our schedule. As of now, you can book in online through our website and actually reserve that spot for the middle of December. And then, of course, your spot will be reserved, and into January, you will have that spot if you're able to get one quick, as they're booking up really quickly for the month of December. So.
You can find more information on Goldfish Swim School on all their local locations, including their new location opening, as Gabby said, in December in West Bloomfield, by going to goldfishswimschool.com. Goldfishswimschool.com to call their West Bloomfield location and reserve a spot in one of their early classes in mid-December. 248-297-6038. 248-297-6038 for more information. And it's interesting too, because you'll be opening in the colder months of the year, opening in December, right in the early part of the winter season, right around the time where winter really starts to take its course here in Michigan. And when we think about swimming in Michigan, we think about the warmer seasons of the year, certainly late spring, definitely over the summer, outdoors in the local pools, and certainly in our local lakes and the Great Lakes here in the state. But why is this time of the year, right now, and even through the colder months of the year, the perfect time for parents to bring their kids into a place like Goldfish Swim School and learn to swim?
Absolutely. So as you know, the winter months in Michigan, they get frigid out there. So our tropical atmosphere in all of our facilities is just a bright light in the middle of winter. You know, the kids look forward to it. The members really enjoy being a part of our Goldfish family and coming into our facility. But aside from actually being in the location, swimming in the winter is a really great activity for kids to maintain their activity level. So staying active, and when you roll into January and February, what's coming up is spring break. So we got to get them ready. Your family might be going to Florida. So having those swim skills ready for spring break, and then building on those in the colder months to be prepared for summer. Because as you said, you know, where we live, there are lakes everywhere, and you want to be able to go to the beach with your family in the summertime. So using those months in the winter is essential to build a foundation to learn how to swim and enjoy yourself in the summer here in Michigan.
There are plenty of places all throughout the state of Michigan for people to learn to swim, and various different settings and different levels of expertise that kids may be learning to swim from or taking swim lessons from. What sets Goldfish Swim School apart in terms of its approach to teaching swimming, and particularly its staff that's overseeing these classes?
This is one of our favorite questions to answer, because I truly believe in the golden experience that we are so dedicated to providing to all of our members. Safety is one of our number one priorities. So I always communicate that to families that are interested in hearing about why Goldfish is so special. All of our staff on any location is ready to respond in case of an emergency. So we push that CPR certification so that if anything were to happen, anyone on the team is ready to respond in case of an emergency. We have lifeguards on every shift, which not all swim schools have. And we also have deck supervisors, which are also lifeguard certified, that monitor lesson quality and class control and the overall effectiveness of our swim lessons. So our safety is amazing. And then I like to touch on our curriculum too when I'm talking to families that are interested in learning more about Goldfish. We have a curriculum team that has been developing and improving our curriculum since 2006. Like I said, Jenny, who's one of our co-founders, she studied childhood early development. And from there, we have built such a fantastic team that we've studied the skills and the levels and the age groups that we teach. And we have really, really simplified and made the process a really good time for the kids and effective for them to be able to learn.
You can reserve your kid's spot in some of their early classes with the new Goldfish Swim School location in West Bloomfield, opening in mid-December, by going to their website, goldfishswimschool.com, goldfishswimschool.com, or calling their West Bloomfield location at 248-297-6038, 248-297-6038. And Gabby, you have such excitement for this new location for Goldfish and its approach to teaching swimming. You yourself are a swimmer. What got you involved with Goldfish, and how long have you been with them?
Yeah, I actually grew up a swimmer myself. I was a competitive swimmer. I swam briefly in college at the University of California in San Diego. before I ended my career due to some injuries, unfortunately, but I kept the swimming in my life. I have been a coach for about 7 years, actually. I've been teaching lessons for roughly 5 of those 7 years. So water safety is something that is really, really important to me. I thrive in the water. I love the water, and I want to make sure that kids never develop a fear that prohibits them from being able to enjoy the water as much as I do, or, my friends and my family do. And I think that, Goldfish is it's such a special business because we consider ourselves a family. All of our locations are so unique in that we are really bonded together with our staff and our members. So it really is a golden experience every time you come through those doors. And I myself believe that wholeheartedly.
Locations not only in West Bloomfield, also in Birmingham and Farmington Hills and Clarkston in our local area, Rochester as well. More information can be found on goldfishswimschool.com. Their West Bloomfield location opening in mid-December. You can also sign your kids up for some of their early classes with spots still available, and plenty of those at goldfishswimschool.com, or by calling the West Bloomfield location at 248-297-6038. 248-297-6038. This location will be opening at the Orchard Mall in December. The Orchard Mall, located in West Bloomfield Township on Orchard Lake Road, just before Maple, just north of Maple Road in West Bloomfield Township. We're joined by Gabby Rosalie, the general manager at Goldfish Swim School in West Bloomfield. Another couple minutes with you, Gabby, before we'll need to say goodbye, move on for today. Anything else that we haven't discussed yet that people should know about Goldfish Swim School, or other things you'd like to say about this new location opening up in December in West Bloomfield?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of my favorite core values that I love to touch on if I get the chance to is that we love to celebrate. We celebrate our kids constantly. And it's so important for kids that are, in our age range that we teach, 4 months to 12 years, to enjoy the teaching that they're getting, whether that's educational or physical, anything that our kids do. It might be nerve-wracking for them because it could be their first introduction to water or swim lessons. So anytime that we get a chance to celebrate our kiddos, we do that. We have ribbons that we give out at the end of classes. We have a little bell that our kids get to ring if they move up a level. We've got our monthly celebration prizes that we give out, different ones each week. So it truly is a full experience. And not only do we celebrate our kids, but we celebrate our staff members as well. We've got a lot of really cool things that we have going on in our Goldfish family. So even if you're not a member looking to come in and swim with us, we're hiring as well. So if you're looking to be a part of an awesome team, Goldfish West Bloomfield would love to have you as well.
Goldfishswimschool.com is their website for more information. You can go to goldfishswimschool.com/West-Bloomfield for the West Bloomfield location. Call 248-297-6038 and follow their West Bloomfield location on various social media: Instagram at Goldfish_West Bloomfield, Twitter at Goldfish Swim for their general business social media on Twitter, and then of course on Facebook, facebook.com/Goldfish West Bloomfield. You can even see some of their progress that they've been making on installing their pool as they poured cement in there just a couple of days ago. See how it's coming along at the Orchard Mall. Gabby, thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate your time and telling us about this exciting new location coming up in West Bloomfield.
Yeah, thank you so much. And it was such a joy to be able to talk about Goldfish. We would love to have every single one of you come swim with us. So please do visit our website. Get some more information if you need some, or give us a call. Myself or my assistant general manager, Lily, we would be so happy to talk with you over the phone and give you some more information about our program.
Again, that's goldfishswimschool.com or 248-297-6038. We'll take a break on the Megacast. On the other side, we'll talk to a local nonprofit that's helping to build confidence and also provide plenty of opportunities for both boys and girls in the Metro Detroit area. That's coming up next. You're watching and listening to the Megacast.
This November, honor the many people who offer their lives for our freedom at the 2022 Heroes Appreciation Breakfast. Organizations, charities, and local residents are invited to celebrate the men and women that ensure our safety and security. Hear from guest speakers, live performances, and presentations from veterans, officers, and more. Save the date, November 8th, 9 to 10:30 a.m. at the new West Bloomfield Middle School. Call 248-451-1900 to register.
In the face of COVID-19, staying healthy is important. And now the same is true as we face the flu. Influenza has the potential to infect millions, putting lives and the healthcare system at risk. Fortunately, it's easy to protect yourself. The flu vaccine is safe and effective, and with COVID-19 still spreading, it's essential. To see how you can hit this virus head-on, visit michigan.gov/flu. Now that the vaccine is available for children 5 and up, why do you recommend it?
Kids are part of the community and they can spread COVID.
We're seeing both healthy children getting sick from the virus as well as children with underlying health conditions.
They can easily bring the virus home to other people that are vulnerable and make them sick as well.
This vaccine can change that and keep children safe.
It's essential that your children get vaccinated to protect them, to protect your families, and to protect those in the community around you.
Welcome back to the Megacast, our live local daily TV, radio, and streaming show looking into all things Michigan. I'm Tyler Kieft. Learn more about our program by visiting our website, civiccentertv.com/megacast, where you'll find more information on all of our partnering stations across the Great Lakes State, including My Michigan TV, and find all of our full shows and each individual interview on demand. So if you're just tuning in, or you've missed part of our show, or you want to watch back any of our recent interviews from today and other programs, you can visit us anytime, civiccentertv.com/megacast. Joining us now on the program is Rebecca Limbaugh, the Executive Director of Boys Hope, Girls Hope of Detroit, inspiring students and bolstering their education and their career opportunities right here in our local area. Rebecca, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi, thank you. I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, glad to have you on to tell us about your organization. First off, can you just give us an overview of what Boys Hope, Girls Hope of Detroit is and what you do to help people right here in our local area?
Well, Boys Hope, Girls Hope's mission is to nurture and guide motivated young people in need to become well-educated career men and women for others. Our scholars come from a variety of backgrounds, and there are barriers that prevent them from achieving their full potential. So what we do is like we provide all of the services necessary to get them to the next level. We are here to help eliminate those barriers, whether it's family, school, community, or any other challenges that they may face. Our team is actually committed to empowering young people by helping them become the best versions of themselves that they can possibly be.
And so this is an organization that is not necessarily local. It is, of course, it has this local chapter, but it's connected to a national organization of Boys Hope, Girls Hope. So how does that connection help you fulfill your mission and have the resources needed to contribute to the problems that are individual to people in the Detroit area?
Well, just to give you a little bit of history, Boys Hope, Girls Hope was founded in 1974 in St. Louis by Father Paul Sheridan, who believed that all children have potential, but there are barriers that prevent young people from, reaching their full potential. So he opened his first residential home in St. Louis in 1974. So since then, it has expanded, and we are now in 15 cities and states, including Guatemala and Mexico. So we're international now. So what our national office will do for us is to bring us all in one location to share best practices. We also offer scholarship assistance. They help us in that area as well. So we'll provide a portion of the scholarships, and we'll talk a little bit more about all three of our programs soon, I hope. But what our network's headquarters do is just bring us all in one hub so we can continue to grow our programs in these 15 different cities and states and internationally.
And you mentioned, Rebecca, that at the crux of what Boys Hope, Girls Hope of Detroit does and what the national organization, international now organization does is to overcome those gaps and those barriers.
Yes.
To education and to progress for these kids all across the Detroit area and around the world. So what are some of those barriers specific to Detroit? And what are some of the ways that your organization helps to navigate these students, these young people around those barriers to achieve these goals and really tap into that potential that the founder of this organization truly believes every child has?
Well, we offer 3 individual programs. And in these programs, we offer family support, assistance, community engagement, resources. There's a lot of challenges that young people face in the community, especially with family. Sometimes you have young people in the city of Detroit who really want to be successful, but they just don't know how to get there. You know, I was one of those students, actually. I was born and raised in Detroit with the similar barriers that our young people face. And sometimes they're just stuck in their community and they do not have the resources, exposure, support, love, guidance that they need to be able to make it to the next level to be successful. That is what we offer. We offer that in 3 different ways. First, through our Hope House residential program. In this program, we have 6 girls who actually live in the house. And we provide wraparound services to these young people for whatever reason. Maybe it's homelessness. Maybe is just there's a family this family has too many people in the home and they can't focus on this young person, but she has dreams and goals. So we bring that child in our residential home and we provide those wraparound services to that young person. We also partner with 3 schools in the city of Detroit to provide college prep support for 3 schools, 10 students each school. We provide the same services that we do in our residential home, which is a wraparound services, love, support, resources, guidance, exposure. We provide that to these young people in the schools. They just don't live with us. So same services, they just do not live in our home. And we provide those services after school. We just partner with this wonderful organization here in Detroit called Save Detroit, where we're going to bring all 3 of our schools, our students in our schools into this one location so we can provide the services together. And our 3rd program is our collegiate support. What we found is when young people grow up in the inner city, they're only used to their surroundings and then the support that we give them. So we want them to go to college. We want them to be successful. So we follow them to and through college for the next 4 years, offering scholarships, the same love, support, connections, resources that we provide to our Hope House and our Hope Academy. We also provide to our collegians until they graduate with their bachelor's degree. And then we just ask them to come back and give to their community. All of our services are free of charge.
And you mentioned that you have a partnership in the college prep area and with those 3 schools in Detroit, and of course,
Yes.
Say Detroit also, which is a nonprofit in
Yes.
Detroit that's run by, of course, Mitch Albom. And it's been interesting over the last several years, especially during the pandemic, to see the ways that nonprofits and charities began to partner together even more than before to provide the services that they provide, but also to bridge some of those gaps in our society that really became that much more inflated and that much more visible to people that maybe weren't paying as much attention, or maybe it was just slipping by them in the past. Speak to that and how much partnership and community partnership really means to Boys Hope, Girls Hope of Detroit and its ability to fulfill its mission and provide these resources to kids that really need it. And then when they do receive it, are able to have such amazing outcomes as a result.
I'm going to tell you, I love the whole old African, statement that says that it takes a village. It truly does. We at Boys Hope, Girls Hope, I am a mental health therapist by degree. And so it's important that we focus on the mental health of young people. And we have actually revised our curriculum to focus on mental health. And what Say Detroit and the Union, which is another nonprofit, and now Mary Grove, we just moved some our offices into Mary Grove so we can be in that hub of other nonprofits and community organizations that can help support what we do. So we want to make sure that with the partnership with Say Detroit, the Union, Mary Grove, is that we have this wraparound. I talk about wraparound services a lot because that's what our young people need to be successful. So we're exposing them to every opportunity, whether it's financial literacy, whether it's mental health, whether it's college tours, to make sure that they're on the campuses, actually filling themselves on a college campus. A lot of mental health work, a lot of life skills. So we partner to make sure that our scholars have these wraparound services.
You can find more information and help them fulfill this mission and provide these services at bhghdetroit.org. That is bhghdetroit.org to learn more about Boys Hope, Girls Hope of Detroit. We're joined by its Executive Director, Rebecca Limbaugh, on today's edition of the Megacast. I want to also give you an opportunity to talk about some of the ways that people can contribute to this organization with their time and of course, financially to help you with with your goals and with your future. But one of those ways is to participate in your annual Festival of Hope. Can you tell us about the Festival of Hope and when that is and how people can participate?
Yes, Festival of Hope is something. That's my baby. I created it. I've been at Boys Hope Girls Hope since 2013, and I was sitting at the table with our young scholars and a few of my team members, and I say, so what do you guys? We have to serve community because I don't care where you come from, your background, your economic status. Is that like there's always someone who has a little bit less than you. I want to make sure that we teach our scholars the importance of giving back to their community. And we talked about it for a while. And then at one of our residential homes, we actually started to bring our young people together and ask them, how do you plan a community service event? And our scholars planned this event, and we had the first event in our residential home, maybe about 40 or 50 people. And then now here it is, maybe like 9 years later, it has grown to now we're in the community. We service every single area, east side, west side. And what we do is a 2-day event. The Friday is more of a Black History celebration where we bring all our partners, parents, scholars, young people. Everyone is involved in Boys Hope, Girls Hope. And our young people, they actually plan and they implement this day. There's activities, there's a lot of fun. And then the second day is the actual community service. And we come together with our partners and we just serve the community. Care packages, we feed them, there's activities, they're just a fun day, specifically for the community. And what I found in our young people is like they truly love to give back to their community. So it's been big for us for the past 9 years, actually.
You can find more information by visiting bhghdetroit.org, bhghddetroit.org/festival-of-hope, or just go over the events and news and select Festival of Hope to learn more information. We're joined by Rebecca Limbaugh, the Executive Director of Boys Hope, Girls Hope of Detroit on today's edition of the Megacast. Rebecca, I do want to give you some time to talk about how kids and families can get their young ones involved in this organization and get them access to these resources in those 3 key areas: residential, college prep, and support services. Because it's one thing to provide those services to people that you find, that you go out to and that you reach out to, but if someone is in need, or if people are in need of these services, how can they best reach out to Boys Hope, Girls Hope of Detroit?
Well, we're on every social media outlet, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course our website. And then there is a link there that you can find out about our services. But I am very grassroots. I am in the community. I am talking to our partners. I am in homeless shelters. I'm wherever you can find young people. I'm a youth advocate, actually. And I'm in schools. Wherever you can find these young people, I reach out to them. So we're in the community talking about who we are and the services that we can provide to young people in the city of Detroit, as well as on our social media outlets.
More information can be found bhghdetroit.org. Again, it's their website, bhghdetroit.org for more information. At this time, what are some of the most important ways, the most significant ways that people out in the community that want to support your mission and your efforts in the Detroit area supporting these kids, how can they best contribute to Boys Hope, Girls Hope of Detroit at this time?
Oh, my goodness. Yes, you can go to our website. You can reach out to me individually, 248-342-9983. But we are in need. Our services are free of charge to all of our young people and our college students. For our residential home, volunteers to come in and prepare meals for our scholars, resources, any type of resources you can provide to run a house. Whatever you need to run your household, we need those same items in our household for 6 girls. So we're always looking for hygiene products. We're looking for school supplies. We're looking for anything you can provide for us to help us run our house effectively. For our academy programs, of course, always school supplies. We're in need of school supplies. A lot of the times the families of our young people are suffering as well. So we're always trying to prepare food baskets for our families, Christmas gifts, just whatever we can do to help our young people thrive.
Well, we appreciate you joining us today and of course, telling us more about Boys Hope, Girls Hope of Detroit, as well as all of our other guests for joining us on today's edition of the Megacast. That will do it for this Thursday edition of the show. Big thank you as well to our dedicated crew at the studio of My Michigan TV, Calvin Brown and Jared Clark at Master Control. That's it for this Thursday edition of the program. We'll return with a new episode very soon.
This is My Michigan TV. Around